limited time only, if you schedule in either the Empower Hour or the Empower Hour Plus consultation, you'll get a month's free membership in the Easy Astrology Society Plus. This gives you access to over 300 videos teaching you the ancient art and science of Vedic astrology. If you schedule in the Empower Pack, which is a package of 3 consultations, you get 3 free months, and you can do either of those through the link that you'll find above. It's really easy to get distracted, especially when you're dealing with a confusing maelstrom of emotions that are just stirring around inside of you. Especially when you feel that all eyes are on you. And when you smudge your glasses like I just did, it becomes even more difficult to see clearly, and therefore you get even more distracted. At the present moment, you have a clear vision of where you would like to be. But where things are a little bit foggy and where you seem to be getting distracted is in the pathway between point A and point B. And you feel like it's a time where you can't really afford to dither around. You feel certain that it's time for you to kind of step up to the plate and at least, take a very firm action in an appropriate direction. But you're not sure of which way that direction should be. Perhaps you're getting a little too pressured about a situation. Maybe it feels to you that a lot of that pressure is coming from outside of you. But perhaps if you examine things a little more closely, you might just find that it's not coming from outside of you, it's coming from within. You see, sometimes we get a little bit impatient with the process, especially if we get excited or inspired about something that we, genuinely feel is going to make our life about 200, 300, okay, well, let's say even 1,000% better than it is at the present moment. We see that. We want our life to be better. And so therefore we go, okay, well, it all has to happen, and it all has to happen now. And equally, when you're around other people who are going through a similar experience, because, hey, let's face it, that's what astrological influences are all about. It will bring a similar experience, but everyone will, have that impact a different area of their life. So when you're around other people who are going through a similar experience, their vision begins to kind of cross paths with your vision, and that can make it even more confusing. But what you need to know right now is, well, first of all, you need to make things easier on yourself. And how can you do that? Well, the first step of the process is to go, you know what? I need to not hurry this. I need to let things take the time that they need to. Because sometimes we find if we slow down, things speed up. Right? Because what ends up happening is all the confusion or all the pressure that we're feeling, which again, you're likely applying this to yourself, that begins to make us feel like, as I was saying before, like you have to hurry up to get there. And then you end up getting in your own way. And ultimately, you just kind of mess things up in the first place. Whereas instead, if you went, you know what, let's just be patient with the process. Let's recognize the fact that I do have a really clear vision. Inside of myself, I know where I'm going. I know that that feels right inside of my soul. I'm just confused about how I get there. But if you're feeling that you have to get to that particular destination immediately, that's where things begin to get a lot more confusing. In addition to that, there are some, situations that are going on in your life, some things that you don't need that are beginning to become like dead weight to your situation. And sometimes we find ourselves in a position where before we can, burst forward in a new manner, we have to prune back on those things that don't work. That can be many different things in our lives, dependent upon, where this new moon happens to be interacting within your horoscope. But in one area or another, you're needing to prune back. You're needing to get rid of certain things that are there so you can make way for new growth, because at the present moment, well, you're feeling kind of stuck. But, I want to keep bringing your vision back to the positive, because ultimately you do know where you want to be. And that's an important step in the process. New moons are often very confusing, because what ends up happening is a condition is created between the sun and the moon that is a little bit like this. Well, you can understand it as the sun begins to agitate the moon. And the moon is all about getting our needs met. And so the sun has this creative vision, and the moon goes, wow, that creative vision would be really nurturing for me. But at the same time, that sun somewhat agitates the moon, and then the moon goes, yeah, but I don't know how on earth I'm going to get there. And that's because things take time. Things take time. But sometimes in that moment when we're in that quote unquote seed stage, things get, a lot more, uneasy. And mixed in with this particular new moon cycle, you also have Saturn and Venus involved in the equation. And what's happening with that particular process is the sun is getting impacted by Venus. When Venus sees things that it knows will enrich its life, then the sun begins to consider ways of getting there that aren't ideal for the natural state of the soul. In addition to that, Venus can begin to feel like its pride is hurt because it sees that vision. And so then sometimes its creative vision gets cut short. Its creative vision of how it might enrich its own life in a material way gets cut short because of what the soul sees that it needs. And that in turn creates some difficulty for Saturn in that department, because then Saturn goes, I feel about as low as this, right? The good news right now is Saturn is pretty strong. So Saturn is not likely going to go down that low. But Saturn is also the one that's telling you that you need to prune back if you're going to move forward at this particular moment in time. So take your time, let the process be as it is, and don't put too much pressure on yourself. If you could use a little bit of help pruning back and blossoming forward, again, I do offer in my Empower Hours and the Empower Hour Plus. That's a 60-minute and a 90-minute consultation, respectively. Schedule one of those, you get one free month of the Easy Astrology Society Plus. Schedule the Empower Pack package of 3 consultations, you get 3 full months. And you can do either of those at the link above. That's going to do it for this look at the new moon on the 21st of January, 2023, taking place in Sravana Nakshatra. Until next time, please do take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.